this one will be interesting. Let's dive into Isis.
Yes.
Joanna.
Yes. So Isis is a very complex goddess because at the beginning she was associated with Hathor, but then she actually has much more depth. But this depth is sometimes interpreted as good or bad, although most of the time in a positive way, because she is also a goddess of highest magic. So it means she used not the kind of magic that humans use, like in witchery or something, but you use natural elements. But through the power of the words, she could actually change the cosmic quantum reality, so to speak. So almost like she could change the reality. So she was speaking straight to the divine consciousness, so to speak. And she was also responsible for partial and very brief resurrection of her husband, Osiris. When he was killed by his brother Seth, she actually used her magic to bring him back to life for a moment so she could conceive a child, Horus, together.
Weren't they brother and sister also? They were brother and sister, right?
This is in the Egyptian mythology is quite common because they, like the pharaohs, they married each other, sisters and brothers, right? So it's a taboo in our culture, but not in ancient Egyptian beliefs and culture. So they're also brother and a sister. So there is this interesting thing about Isis, if you allow me for a moment. Then she started to be associated, especially with the Roman Empire. She was very popular in the Roman Empire with ancient mysteries, but also she became like a mother goddess, which later was transformed into Virgin Marian Catholicism, like the Holy Family, Isis, Osiris, and Horus. And then it became, you know, the Trinity in Catholicism. But so this is like they said the more spiritual part of her. But the other part of her was the magic, and it was taken in Europe and in Celtic cultures and other cultures as witchery, right? So playing with natural elements to achieve what I want to achieve, and sometimes also playing with death and life, right? So she's a very complex goddess. So I'm really especially curious about her readings because they could be either very good or very bad or very mixed. So
you know what? She was one of the goddesses I also could not wait to explore, and it is fascinating. The findings are going to be fascinating. And I will say one thing, that her energy frequency blueprint is very different from Mother Mary, completely different, just so people understand, because we didn't do it publicly.
Yes, extreme opposites.
Extreme, polar opposites.
So the image might have been manipulated, you know, by Roman Empire, right? So this and that.
Yeah.
It, but yeah.
Right. Yes, Isis. So goddess of resurrection and magic, right? Incarnated at the frequency of 125, which is the frequency of impulsiveness, right? Was born at the frequency of 125, and her overall frequency was 125 as well. Yes, this unfulfilled desire, right?
Addict. This is actually a frequency, a perfect frequency. We've revealed quite a few people that are alive or have been alive in the last century. And this is a perfect example of an addict. Okay.
And obsessive.
Obsessive personality.
And not only throughout history, we have read a few thousand people that are still living, right? And we've done their lifetime frequency analysis, and we go back in time, and when they have experienced the 125, they confirm that they were going through a period of unfulfilled desires and addictions and so forth. Now, she viewed health through the lens of 125. The health is the mind, body, and soul connection, right? Finances, 125. Creativity, 125.
So she created from the place of, from an addiction, desire place, right? Very impulsive.
Relationships, 50. Yes. Indifference or manipulation in this case. Personal growth, 125. Philanthropy, 125. Intuition, 125. And within intuition, we have all aspects, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance at 125. Under the intelligence aspect, we have IQ at 175.
So vanity.
Yes, that's the level of vanity, right? EQ, emotional quotient, 50. Again,
totally
the
disconnected
same
from the
as
emotions.
the relationships, right? Indifference. SQ, 500. So she had this magnetism, right? To
Lure people in.
and
Yeah.
yes,
Goddess, yeah.
exactly, right? So many can, I mean, it's still happening nowadays, right? With many people, they have a high number under the SQ, like in the case of rock stars.
Yeah.
We have measured those, they vibrate, let's say at
125
even 30, and they incarnated at 50, were born at 50, and now they're at 30 or 50, but they have 700 under SQ, you know?
Charisma, really, the charisma.
The
It's the charisma.
magnetism, yes, exactly.
Yes.
Under AQ, the adversary quotient, 50, so which is the same as Hathor's AQ, right? The indifference. Unattached as well, unattached from emotions, right? That's a coping mechanism. Now we go into percentages. Indie Joy, 98%. So she was definitely
Having
a blast with the role that she was playing. And when she was embodying it fully. In the ego, 100%, and 100% of that was the superior version of the ego. In the now, 95%.
Fully present for her experience.
Integrity, 96%. So she was loyal to her truth. Integrity to self, 100%. Integrity to others, 35%. Self-awareness, 98%. Clarity, 99%.
She was master. These numbers are master numbers, like somebody who really
embodied it fully and have mastered that level of 125, right? And alignment with divine purpose, 100%. And alignment with personal purpose, 100% as well. So we compare divine purpose to self-realization. So we can say that she was fully realized, came to play this role, and she played it very well. And personal purpose, we compare that to self-actualization, right? So she felt like she accomplished everything and had the sense of fulfillment, right? Compassion, 68%. Empathy, 85%. Energy purity, 99%. And in her case means that she was just embodying the 125 to almost to the fullest, right?
And zero and fifth dimension.
And zero and the fifth dimension, yes. So she was between, I would say, the second and the third.
So she's really in the series of goddesses that basically enjoyed that part a little bit too much and manipulated it. But the numbers, so it's very interesting for me because, as I said when I was introducing her, she could be very good or very mixed bag or, not really good because she's worshipped by many people, but she's primarily a goddess of magic. And she didn't use the resurrection, but for her own purpose. So she resurrected because she wanted the man, that was killed, and she wanted to have a child with him. So it was, for her own benefit, so to speak.
Yes.
Humanity, she didn't do it for the wealth or for human evolution or planetary evolution.
Well, she could have been pregnant before and just made up that story to.
maybe that somehow I don't think so, because she was big on magic, so she was manipulating the elements. And again, the story, that's why I thought that she could have been another incarnation of Inanna, because there's the same story of her stealing the power of magic from another god. So she can use it for her own benefit. So that's why I think it's almost like the same goddess, Inanna, incarnated again, and just that she was more and more attached to, this lower dimensions, I would say, right?
We have so far. It is a possibility because we don't have all the answers. The more we learn, the more we realize that there's a lot more to learn, right? But so far we haven't we haven't found someone that goes backwards in when it comes to
Evolution.
frequencies,
Okay.
evolution. You know, if you exit at 400, you more than likely come back at maybe 350,
But usually,
310, you know,
Okay.
or 400, and then to experience and continue to evolve and experience more spiritual growth, you know, in higher frequencies.
Well, that's interesting. So people either evolve, but they don't really devolve, right? The beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I see. So that's interesting for me. It's an interesting information because there are lots of similarities there, and
they do have similarities.
They do,
Yes. Yes.
Relationships, both are at 50. Yes.
AQ the same, I think.
AQ the same.
Integrity not as high. I mean,
In the
they're
ego,
low.
both 100% and 100% in the superior.
Yeah, they do have similarities.
Now Isis has a much lower integrity to others, you know. So she could have been definitely manipulating the elements which were used to view what she was presenting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Very interesting.